Okay, so in this game, I was trying to play as Goths for the first time. Actually, it's not the first time I've played Goths. I've tried booming with Goths into Huskarls, but this time I wanted to try the early spam with Goths. Something that is a pretty good strategy with Goths, especially in the newer version of Age of Empires. Um, so at the start of this game, it's pretty normal. He's over here. What's his name? His name is Muffin. I'm playing against Muffin. I'm just trying to find my starting resources. I found 6 sheep and 2 golds, a couple of wood lines, 2 sets of deer, zebras, and ostrich. There's my other 2 sheep. Okay, so at this point... Oh, there's my elephant. I was looking all over for that. Unfortunately, in Serengeti, you only get one boar, or in this case, elephant. So it screws up your build a little bit, but once you sort of adapt and realize that there's 2 sets of deer, and this one is actually a pretty big one right next to my mill for the berries, so that works out fairly well. Then you can adapt. I finally figured out how to adapt to not having a second boar. Anyway, so the strategy here is to go for an early barracks, start producing militia in Dark Age, so before you go to Feudal Age, and then send them off to your opponent, which I still haven't found yet. I realize my scout isn't going in the right direction, so I try to send him off to find the opponent. But I'm building my barracks, so I'm remembering the strategy. It's probably about this time that I would normally be getting close to clicking up to Feudal Age. But with this strategy, now I'm investing in militia, which they cost less with the Goths. So that allows you to build more of them for cheaper. And then if you really go all in with it, you spend all of your resources on that rather than upgrading, and then you overwhelm your opponent with all the early aggression. Oh, okay, so I've definitely found where my opponent is. I'm even doing a little circle around his base to find where all his resources are. I see berries, I see wood, I see a barracks. I don't see him on gold yet, but I see his gold, his closest gold. And I'll keep scouting and see what else I can find. And my militia are already on their way. I'm building a lot of farms in Dark Age. It's not something I typically do. I try to wait till Feudal when I can get horse collar research, which makes the farms last longer. But, okay, so I found his other gold. It's right over here. So both of his golds are on the front of his base, which is probably a good thing for me. He just advanced to Feudal Age. I'm not even close. So, he's building a lumber camp there. I camp on his berries. And he reacts to it. That's good for him. I've got these militia on defensive mode because I don't want them running into the town center. So now I send them off to the wood. So at this point, I'm just harassing him. Look, he's only got 45 wood. So if he wants to try to build like an archery range, for example, to combat my militia, or what will eventually be men-at-arms, that's going to be problematic if he can't get wood. So that's good. I even had him abandon this wood line. He's going over to grab some gold for some reason. I guess he's thinking ahead to the archers. So these militia, he's walling in his lumber camp. He's only got one corner of the lumber camp visible to his villagers. But that's enough to get at least a little bit of eco going. And so now I'm heading over to the deer. I noticed he was grabbing these deer, so I figured I'd head over this way. Now he's actually going to use his villagers to fight off these militia. It's a pretty good strategy. I'm still in Dark Age, so these militia are basically glorified villagers. So it's a pretty good strat there. Now, I sent a couple more over here to his... I'm on my way to Feudal Age, but I sent a couple more over to the berries just to make sure he doesn't go grab that food. And then once I get to Feudal Age, I'll upgrade these to Men-at-Arms. And then also grab some upgrades for them at a blacksmith. So I'm building a forward barracks as well, just to help with the production. So once I create my Men-at-Arms research, now I want to start creating a lot of Men-at-Arms, so that he really gets overwhelmed. He still can't take his berries. I don't think that's really hurt him that much on the food. In fact, he could click to Castle Age right now if he thought about it. And he's creating a bit of a quick wall here to make sure that these Men-at-Arms don't go through back over to the other side of his base. Although I'm not really sure what he's protecting over here. I guess this lumber camp. But whatever. I'm going to eventually knock down that mill. And now that I've got another barracks, I'm starting to flood those militia or Men-at-Arms. Let's go back. Okay. So I'm getting housed. Now that's a problem when you're trying to create a lot of units. You have to remember to build houses. So, lesson learned. I see that he's building. So I'm trying to build a tower over here. So the girl that made the barracks is also going to try to tower this gold. And then with that, I happen to see that he's trying to build an archery range. And an archery range, archers would counter the Men-at-Arms and any sort of infantry pretty well. So that's a good play on his part. I really need to make sure this watchtower goes up, so I'm going to leave a couple of those Men-at-Arms there. These Men-at-Arms go over and start attacking the lumber camp. That's actually a good move, because eventually he won't have a lumber camp to drop off that wood to. In fact, at this point, I could go to Castle Age if I thought about it. Oh, no, I couldn't. I need to build that barracks. Got a few idle villagers here and there. Actually, 7. That's a lot. Okay, sending those off to get some stone. Getting stone here, too. Alright, so now I decide to go ahead and send these forward. Might as well start banging away at this barracks. So he's got one less thing that he can produce military units out of. He's trying to produce eagles, which is interesting for sure. But now he can't produce those. The archers do show up over here. And he builds a tower on the other side of his gold, but that doesn't really get him access to the gold. And I decide, alright, I might as well walk over here to see if he's getting resources. At least that's what I thought I was doing. Maybe I was trying to walk over to the lumber camp. Either way, I do see this now, so eventually I will attack it. The eagle goes in for the tower. That's not going to work out. The tower does have a minimum range, but I should have seen that. Obviously I didn't. Alright, so I sent those off to the back of his base, so he's distracted with that. Meanwhile, I still have more coming in. Defend from that eagle. I defended from the archers pretty well as well. So he walled in his villagers on gold here with stone walls, which is a pretty decent play on his part, but I'll just bang my way through the mining camp. These villagers likely die, especially since his archers are going away. Yeah, these villagers will die. So now I'm up to Castle Age, and he has not gone up to Castle Age yet. In fact, let's see his resources. He's hurting for gold. So he originally could have gone to Castle Age, but he invested in archers and a couple of eagles. That caused him to run out of gold. And since I've got men-at-arms on this gold and a tower on this gold, he doesn't really have a place to get gold. He could go up here, but I don't think he's thinking that. He's actually thinking about battering this tower down with villagers. Not a bad play, but I'll just send my men-at-arms over there. And I don't think the archers are going to get here fast enough to do anything about it. And I know the archers are around, so I'm watching for them. So he's still in Feudal Age, still stuck in Feudal Age, can't get there because he doesn't have the gold. I don't even know why I created those spearmen, it was probably a mistake. But they just walk into their deaths against the archers. He's actually got a good pile of archers at this point. Enough to where I have to think twice about going after it. But at this point, I'm upgraded to Long Swordsman, which is the Castle Age version. They're still just as cheap to produce. I got 18 of them here against his 8 archers. So I decided to go in for it, and he runs. My eco is not looking the greatest. I obviously have a lot of farms and a few on gold, enough to sustain military production on the barracks. I really could be building another barracks, but at this point I'm thinking I have enough stone for a castle. If I put a castle right here, exactly, that blocks this stone, this gold, and further makes this gold even more dangerous. I've only got one villager forward, so I really have to protect her. But I think seeing this go up in his base, and he is not able to go to Castle Age himself, is probably concerning for him. And then he's trying to micro with these archers, but I've got a couple more men-at-arms on the back side, so it's making it more and more difficult. He's down to 6 archers, and I've still got a ton of men-at-arms. I did send the villager off into the tower to protect her. I actually, there at the end, I had to pause because my cat got on my computer. But he was, at that point, he was just like, no, just GG, good job. So this is how playing with Goths in the early game can benefit and prevent your opponent from getting the resources he needs to combat you. So he never actually sent any units into my base. I finally got a second town center up, but otherwise my eco is still relatively exposed because my attention is all focused on what I'm doing in his base. But he made the right play with the archers. But ultimately I had too many, and he wasn't, and the amount of archers he built made it so he could not get into Castle Age, and then do it even better. So I was slowly getting ahead. In fact, the score was not quite double, but getting there. Statistics, 16 to 11. I'm actually on the negative end of that. He killed more of mine, but because mine were so cheap to make, and every age I advance they get even cheaper, I don't really mind losing that. I had a lot more eco than he did, which also helped. I was late getting to Feudal Age because I was producing the militia in Dark Age, but because of the pressure I got with those, both in Dark Age and Feudal Age, he never got to Castle Age, and while my Castle Age time was not great at 22 minutes, he never got there, so it worked out. So you can see here, with these militia, I did at least set him back. I think I killed a few villagers, and then he started making the archers, but it wasn't enough.